An increase in headline earnings up 56% to 430 cents. We do know that it's your financial services that kick-started this, as well as, of course, the industrial index. But how much of this was more a recovery rather than a real actual growth?
I think if you take the 6 months performance of 56%, I would say more than half of it was due to the recovery that we saw out of the financial services investments, being First Rand and RMBH. Secondly, we saw a substantial turnaround at Total South Africa, where we actually accounted for a small loss in the prior period. They returned to show a strong profit. And thirdly, in Kagiso Trust Investments, we saw a substantial gain because of their mark-to-market positions that they took on two of their investee companies. So certainly more than half of the gain. We also included a lot of the Venfin results for the first time during that period, and that accounted for approximately 92 million rand.
So how sustainable would you say then this increase in earnings is, given the kind of economy that we've seen so far? I mean, all the numbers that are coming through are suggesting that we are seeing a slowdown in the economy, at least in the second half of the year.
Yes. I think considering that the prior period was compromised, we certainly wouldn't expect this type of performance to continue into the second half, but we're still reasonably optimistic in terms of the outlook. But certainly because of the compromised prior period, we saw the strong performance. Our second half last year was much stronger, so we don't expect to see the same gain in the second half. And hence, if you look at our dividend declaration, that's up by just over 20%.
Indeed, the question in the minds of investors would be, is that likely to be repeated in the full year?
Well, the answer is difficult to say. We don't really give forecasts, but the companies are doing okay. Generally, we don't have any major problem children. But the recovery in the economy is, as the governor of the central bank said, fragile. And we would concur with that.
Yeah. Thys, of course, a question that is always going to be directed to you in these results is the cash at the center. Now we're looking at 5.1 billion rand. What are you going to do with that? Should investors perhaps be expecting that you're going to declare perhaps a special dividend, or are we likely to see a big transforming acquisition coming through?
Well, if you look at the level of cash, it's below 10% of our net asset value. So although it sounds like a big number, in the total context, it's less than 10%. It's certainly not burning a hole in our pockets, but it's earmarked to invest. Clearly, we fund our dividends from that pot of cash at the center. And our primary task is to find new investment opportunities or support existing investments in terms of their capital demands.
Now, of course, one of the issues that investors raise is the fact that perhaps you could be looking more to unbundle some of your smaller investments. Is there any plan to try and get rid of some of those smaller shareholdings?
We continuously look at the portfolio, and certainly I wouldn't want to create the expectations that are more to come, but they may come. But at this stage, there's nothing that we would like to say to the market in terms of creating expectations or